Good evening, you're watching News Mongolian Beyond. I'm your host, Taner Kambatar. In four top stories, strengthening the response to gender-based violence in Mongolia's project's closure event was held on March 27th. Ambassadors present letters of credence to the President of Mongolia. New bill to limit the right to travel without detention except for cases of serious crimes. And for the news, stay tuned. Strengthening the response to gender-based violence in Mongolia project has been implemented since 2019. As part of this project, governmental organizations and non-governmental organizations joined together and implemented many kinds of activities to reduce gender-based violence. The closure event of this project was held on March 27th in Ulaanbaatar city. Building upon the context, situation analysis and strategic prioritization of the intervention areas, the International Development Organization worked with a range of stakeholders to increase access to justice for victims of domestic violence and advocate effectively for the improvement of DV legislation and related services and raise public awareness on gender-based violence and DV, their root causes and contributing factors, and provide information to victims of gender-based violence regarding their legal rights, available remedies, and protection mechanisms.
The focus is on capacity development along the justice chain in Mongolia. And so what do I mean by the justice chain? I mean, it means frontline service providers, services that are provided often by civil society organizations, the Authority for Family, Child and Youth Development, paralegals. It's strengthening those folks on the front lines. And the training there has focused on how do we put victims, survivors of domestic violence and gender-based violence at the center of our work, be it on the front lines or along the justice chain.
This project has been ongoing for 4 years, and as part of this project, 61 organizations from 19 provinces joined this forum in 2019, including the Forum of Civil Society Organizations. When it was first established, it had more than 40 members. We have a lot of capacity within the project, and we implemented 4 functions within the framework of the law and combating domestic violence. One of them was providing services to victims of domestic violence, empowering non-governmental organization workers, providing methods, conducting evaluation within the framework of the law and combating domestic violence and other laws, and acting as the victim's representative.
The project's goal was to increase access to justice for victims of gender-based violence by identifying the obstacles victims encounter in exercising their rights, extending and improving the legal aid services available to victims, and increasing the knowledge of victims and the general public about the rights of victims in case of domestic violence that incorporated a victim-centered approach through research, capacity-building training, and raising public awareness. Project activities are implemented in close cooperation with the Government of Mongolia, justice sector institutions, professional associations of lawyers, academia, and civil society. Mongolian civil society organizations are trained on trial observation in domestic violence cases, with a focus on ensuring victim-centeredness. International Development Law Organization trained 34 trial monitors, including CSO representatives, to conduct domestic violence trial monitoring for 57 criminal and offense trials, to assess the application of a victim-centered approach during judicial proceedings and compliance with relevant domestic violence legislation.
We jointly implemented this project from 2019 to 2023 in cooperation with the International Development Legal Organization. Everyone needs to understand domestic violence so that it can be prevented, because it's important to influence people's attitude. Trainers have been taught to impact this understanding to the public, and these trainers have passed on those skills to trainers from 21 provinces and 9 districts in regional format. These trained professionals organize the training in their locality.
International Development Law Organization is dedicated to empowering women and girls and ensuring gender equality through the rule of law. IDLO currently implements projects in several countries to combat discriminatory laws, develop gender-responsive legal and institutional frameworks, enhance women's access to justice, and increase women's empowerment through sustainable development and economic opportunities. Ambassadors from 10 different countries presented their letters of credence to the President of Mongolia, Hursoghna, on Monday, marking the beginning of their diplomatic missions in the country. Among the ambassadors were Helena Sengland of Sweden, Pahin Dato Rahmani Dato Basir of Brunei Darussalam, Maya Manik of Latvia, Andres Riken of Austria, Irit Ben Abed Vital of Israel, Gustavo Sabino Vacanaraha of Argentina, Elena Kaisa Mikola of Finland, Al Busaidi of Oman, Hussein Rabehi of Algeria, and Dmitry Ponomarenko of Ukraine. During the ceremony, the ambassadors each presented their letters of credence to the president, formally beginning their diplomatic duties in Mongolia. In their respective speeches, they expressed their commitment to strengthening the relationship between their countries and Mongolia, as well as deepening cooperation in areas such as trade, investment, education, culture, and tourism. President Hursoghna welcomed the ambassadors and emphasized the importance of diplomacy and international cooperation in promoting global peace and development. He also expressed his appreciation for the ambassadors' efforts to enhance the friendship and cooperation between their countries and Mongolia. The presentation of letters of credence is a formal protocol event that takes place when a new ambassador arrives in a foreign country. It signifies the official recognition of the ambassador's credential by the host country's government and the beginning of the ambassador's diplomatic mission. The new ambassadors will work to promote their respective countries' interests in Mongolia and they strengthen the bond of friendship and cooperation between their countries and Mongolia. Their tenure in the country is expected to further deepen the already strong ties between Mongolia and the international community. The Minister of Justice and Internal Affairs, Nimbatra, gave a statement about the law on criminal proceedings in such a way that preventive measures can be taken to limit the right to travel without choosing the type of detention, except for those who are suspected of serious crimes and are under investigation. Currently, there are over 4,300 prisoners serving sentences in the judicial decision-making organization's prisons, with around 1,350 individuals facing travel restrictions in detention centers and about 1,800 people sentenced to fines. More than 1,000 individuals are being held in a pre-trial and detention centers across Ulaanbaatar and local areas, while over 400 people have been detained. To ensure human rights are protected during the investigation process, the Ministry of Justice and Internal Affairs is developing this specific policy. The penalty for limiting the right to travel has been implemented since January 1, 2021. In April, Parliament will receive proposed amendments to the law on criminal procedure, which will allow for the implementation of preventive measures to limit the right to travel instead of detention. The Court Decision Enforcement Agency has already prepared the necessary technical and software preparations to implement this change. The agency has resolved its control room and software issues and is preparing to follow the direction of restricting the right to travel when taking restraining measures as suggested by the detector. However, detention measures will still be implemented in certain cases, such as treason and espionage. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. World Doctors' Day is celebrated each year on March 30th. In anticipation of this day, a series of Let's Listen to Your Doctor meetings were organized on the initiative of the Minister of Health. Activist members of the Mongolian Health Workers Union met with doctors and hospital staff, listened to their opinions on many issues related to wages and social security, and discussed their pressing issues. They also met with representatives of the pharmaceutical industry and private health organizations. The non-governmental organization, the Voice of Doctors and Medical Specialists, organized the discussion Let's Listen to Your Doctor at the One Event Hall on March 27th. In the discussion about protecting the rights of doctors and medical workers at all levels of the health sector, such as social security, improving the working environment, implementation of orders, and the challenges faced. The Minister of Health, Chinzaruk, members of Parliament Chimburu and Bisung, the House Minister Advisor Irtambidlik Oyunchimik, acting head of the Department of Medical Assistance of the Ministry of Health, representatives of the Ministry of Health, as well as more than 100 urban and rural doctors and medical staff participated. The Minister of Health, Chinzaruk, addressed the participants of the discussion and gave a brief summary about the work done so far, the measures taken and the policies to be followed in the 2 months since he was appointed as the minister. For example, to improve the legal framework of the health sector, along with the revision of the health laws to ensure a coherent set of laws, the draft law on public health and the law on organ transplants are being drafted. The activity of improving the legal framework of liability insurance was started in cooperation with the Financial Regulatory Commission. More than 900,000 citizens have participated in the early detection and prevention examinations organized throughout the country, and more than 247,000 suspected cases of diseases have been detected, and the majority of them are preventable diseases. Because it shows that there is a high need to adapt people's lifestyle, certain activities have been started to implement comprehensive national-level measures towards improving citizens' health education with the participation of citizens in this sector. Performance funding introduced as part of the reform of the health sector will cause problems due to the insufficient performance of medical care and services in areas with a small population. The amount of non-necessary hospital patient care and services will not decrease at state-owned hospitals. There is a trend in hospitals to improve the diagnosis of early emergency care and services. There are problems such as the insufficient rate of screening and preventive examinations and the difference in the number of incentives given out to doctors and medical specialists as a result of performance funding. Therefore, in the future, we will increase the adjustment of the geographical coefficient in a per-citizen method, support day one and home treatment by reducing the number of beds, recalculate the cost of some necessary diagnosis-related groups, adjust the basic tariff for the diagnosis-related group, and transfer care services that cannot be provided by state-owned hospitals or to the private health sector. We are working on policy adjustment in the field of contract execution by the organization and financial support from the Health Insurance Fund, the minister said. A Mongolian school in Belgium has recently taken a unique approach to teaching Mongolian folk traditions by organizing lessons in traditional Mongolian gears. The school, which serves the Mongolian community in Belgium, aims to preserve and promote Mongolian culture and traditions among the younger generation. The school's latest initiative involves organizing lessons on Mongolian folk traditions in gears, traditional Mongolian tents that have been used by nomadic herders for centuries. The lesson takes place in the gears of Mongolian families living in Belgium, providing an immersive learning experience for the students.
The children learned a lot of new things when they entered the Mongolian gear, played games and made traditional Mongolian tea. Parents also received good knowledge. This is one of the main goals of our traditional lessons, which is to pass on and improve our national identity.
During the lesson, students learn about traditional Mongolian customs such as making food and playing games. They also learned about cultural rituals such as the use of the murunhur, a traditional Mongolian stringed instrument used for making national Mongolian music. The lessons have been well received by the students and their families, who appreciate the opportunity to learn about their cultural heritage in a unique and authentic setting. The school plans to continue offering lessons in gears and hopes to expand the program to reach more students in the future. Mongolian and Belgian school children visited Mongolian gear, and they have learned about traditional Mongolian food and customs, especially about the Mongolian home and traditional Mongolian games. It was very interesting for me. The Mongolian school in Belgium is an important resource for the Mongolian community in the country, providing language and cultural classes to Mongolian children and promoting cultural exchanges between Mongolia and Belgium. With their innovative approach in teaching traditional Mongolian folk traditions, the school is helping to ensure that Mongolian culture and traditions continue to thrive for generations to come. Is the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today, and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.